Hey, and welcome back to Mr. Van's tutorial on doing the essay organization. This is just a pickup from before. Here's our title, Evaluate Canada's Success in Rwanda under the UN, our question I should say. We've got the history and background here. I've got 3 major points from the previous video, and we created a thesis, so as well as some vocabulary. At this point, I would like to just go over how to do one of the arguments just so you can see one. Our topic transition sentence basically is going to come from our first argument. And so what I'm going to actually do is take this and I'm going to copy it into here. Now obviously that's a bit harder to do on your sheet because you can't just erase stuff, but for the sake of being able to see it and have it all on one screen, we'll do that. So Canada and the mission were underfunded by the United Nations. I'm going to make a topic sentence that also links with my transition. In this case, the last paragraph was my thesis statement through my introduction. And so I'm going to link the two here together. And I'm going to say something to the extent of the United Nations was concerned that the mission would cause serious loss of civilian military life and therefore underfunded the mission. Okay, saying mission in one sentence twice isn't great, so I'm actually just going to thesaurus this. The undertaking would cost. Yeah, that works. Okay, now I've hinted what my evidence is already going to be, and I've already gone and pulled off the internet for the sake of time. And so you can see, here's my first point. Most of the world stood on the sidelines during the Rwandan genocide because of past slaughters that took place in Yugoslavia. That's going to go in here. I'm going to cite that source additionally. Okay, I'm not going to, for the sake of time, do a great job of that right now. I'm going to say Hoodley, page 6 from a book. Okay. This piece of evidence supports the transition. Okay, it supports the idea that because of the issues that were in Yugoslavia just in a couple years before, the UN is really nervous about losing more lives in another UN peacekeeping mission. So they're really scared to overcommit and send a lot of forces because it looks really bad when internationals die. It's kind of a sad truth, but it is what it is. I got a second point here. In July 1993, Roman Dallaire was provided with little information on the background of the conflict in Rwanda. When requested for current intelligence, he was denied and given little access to the information. Romeo went into the mission, as they call, a blind man. And this is quite true, and one of the sad parts of it is that Romeo Dallaire did not really realize what he was getting into. This is Wikipedia. Okay, good thing to put where the source came down for each of these so that when you go to put it in later, it's nice and easy. Okay, and then our third piece of evidence, which I pulled out already, was that the Nations Security Council has accepted their failing responsibilities to prevent the Rwandan genocide in 1994. Council members first acknowledged the lack of governments provided unpolitical stop to the massacres. After the death of 10 Belgian soldiers, the United Nations reported the removal of 2,500 peacekeepers. That sentence right there is my selling point. This one also came from Wikipedia. If you look at my topic sentence, the United Nations was concerned that the undertaking would cause serious loss of civilian military life. Yeah, taking 2,500 people out definitely proves that. So when I come to the analysis and I go to prove my point that Canadians and the mission were underfunded by the United Nations, it's pretty much proof in the pudding already. We can touch on all 3 pieces of this evidence. It might look something like this. I'm just going to spitball here. The United Nations was scared to overcommit troops to a cause that had, and I hate to say this, people who were generally thought of as being less important than those from developing countries. Now I'm going to pull in some of my evidence. Okay, I apologize that you can't really see this on the side. I'm going to get this guy out of here. Perfect. Given that the UN removed 2,500 troops and left only a few, it's clear that they did not prioritize all lives equally. This is further supported by the fact that over 1 million Rwandans paid with their lives. Okay. Rwandans by the fact. Perfect. So I've touched on this one. I've touched on this one. All right. Further to this point, Romeo Dallaire, who was the, go scroll down a bit, who was the general in charge from Canada, was denied access to mission information, which is kind of a sham that the guy who's in charge of the mission isn't allowed to have information. Denied access to mission information. This hindered his ability to correctly and carefully carry out a plan. The UN always wanted to just look as though they were involved and never really actually follow through. It's a sad truth, I believe. You can see it's definitely with an opinion. My opinion's pretty clear in here. It's supported by our 3 pieces of evidence, and it builds on the topic sentence going right back to it. This is what I'm looking for when you guys write your paragraphs together. Thanks for watching.